We're doing another Walk It and Talk It video. Sadly, DJ Scoop, Fatman Scoop, passed away. He was 53 years old. He was performing at a concert in Connecticut, and he passed out at the concert, and then he tragically passed away at 53. And this is like every year there's a black male in his 50s that I've seen that's passed away, and it's important to get a physical. It's important just to get yourself checked out, you know. But before I get into that, so man, that song he made, "Be Faithful," with Crooklyn Clan. Crooklyn Clan produced the track, and he used Faith's "Love Like This Before." Now I'll always love like this before by Faith, because it samples Chic Cheer by Chic from 1978. That groove by that that Bernard Edwards bass line. Now Rogers, man, that's I love those guys so much. But yeah, I always love like this before, and this is like '98, I think. And then the Be Faithful remix came out with Fatman Scoop, and it's like, oh my god, Be Faithful must be one of my favorite tracks of all time. Doesn't matter, rock, pop, hip hop, whatever, jazz. Be Faithful is just it just gets you going. And the problem with a song like that with Fatman Scoop is that that's like 25 years ago. And I know how I am. I don't have the energy I had 25 years ago. So if you're like Fatman Scoop and you're performing this in concert, and it takes so much energy to do that, I just hope that he was getting himself checked out. And he probably was. Like, there's guys I've seen, they say, hey, I get physicals all the time, and they still get sick, right? So this message is for black males out there who haven't been to the doctor in a long time. Listen, I get it. In my 20s, I barely went to the doctor. I think in my 30s, I had some health insurance and everything was cool, so I kind of went regular. But then my doctor was annoying because he kept on wanting to do all these tests. And said, bruh, I feel fine. Stop it. But then as you get older, you realize these tests are necessary. Because we eat a lot of horrible things. I remember when I started at the University of Akron. Because you're going from high school and you got your lunch, or your mom packed your lunch, and then you go to college and there's like a McDonald's sitting there. It's like, oh my God, McDonald's, in a pizza shop and ice cream. And you just devour that all the time, right? And after a while, you develop bad eating habits, and you just keep on eating that way and keep on eating that way because you feel fine, right? Then you go to the doctor one day and say, wow, your blood pressure's up, or your cholesterol's up, or you might be pre-diabetic. I'm not saying this all happened to me, but these things do happen, right? Because you just eat poorly. So, and then sometimes if you don't get checked out, you're like a walking time bomb. So I kind of go to the doctor way more. I probably gone to the doctor way more than I ever did in my 20s and 30s. One, I got the insurance to do it. But second, I want to live. I kind of like being around. So, getting yourself checked out is important. Like, especially if you're a Gen Xer, get your prostate exam, your colonoscopy. Yeah, I know it sucks, man. Especially like the prostate exam really sucks. But the colonoscopy is not really that bad. Really, the worst thing about the colonoscopy is that you have to drink this liquid for like 12 hours or something like that, and you can't eat anything else. You're constantly in the bathroom because you got to be completely cleaned out. So when the colonoscopy actually happens, you don't even feel it. They knock you out, and then it's like, oh, okay. Well, that was easy. And hopefully they say, like, oh, you got a clean bill of health. Don't come back for a few years. Okay, great. So I implore, if you haven't been to the doctor in a long time, if you haven't had a physical, even if it's just a general physical, right? Get your heart checked out. Get your blood pressure checked. Just get your blood checked because you might have high blood pressure. You don't know. It could be hypertension. Like back in the pandemic time, I caught the vid late because I used to wear my mask. I wore my mask all the time. I still don't know how I got it, but I got it and messed up my breathing. And then after that, they wanted me to do a stress test just to see how my heart was. And it turned out to be okay. I mean, my breathing's still off from that time period, which sucks. But I'm alive. I'm here. But But yeah, I took a stress test. It was tiring, but they make sure I take it every year. I take it every year just to make sure my heart's good, because these things are important, right? And I don't have any kids, so imagine. So a lot of you guys out there probably got some kids. Even if you don't want to do it, even if you don't want to have a physical, even if you don't want to have the prostate exam or whatever it is, do it for your kids. I'm sure for some of you guys, you got daughters. You want to make sure you walk them down the aisle to get married. Some of you guys want to be grandfathers one day. Get a second chance. You might not have been the greatest dad in the world. It's like, okay, I wasn't the greatest dad, but I could be a great granddad. And or if it's not that, being alive is great. You don't want the alternative. Now, the flip side of that is, I'll use my mom and my uncle because they were close in age, and they both died around the same age. My uncle smoked all the time. Like, I don't think I ever seen he was either putting out the cigarettes or smoking. But he was a great guy. He just smoked. He just picked up that bad habit back in the 50s or whatever, in the 60s, when people just smoked because they made it look cool. And he smoked a lot, and he passed away, and then from cancer. And then my mom, who didn't smoke, went to the doctor all the time, tried to eat healthy, tried to get us to eat healthy. And she also died from cancer, different types of cancer, around the same age. And so how's this possible? How can one person who smoked all the time, when he died, it's like, well, he smoked, so like that makes sense, but my mom didn't smoke. And even if you go to the doctor, it doesn't guarantee that you won't catch anything. And that's, I think it might be environmental. Could have been the school they were in. Like, they weren't testing for asbestos back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. So it could have been the house they lived at as kids. Could be the places that they worked. Could have been, my mom could have worked at a place where they had asbestos and they didn't check those things out. There's a lot of stuff they did back in the day that was not helpful for people, especially if you worked in plants. And there's a lot more regulation to help people nowadays. So there's a lot of people who died early where companies did not look out for their employees, or people were placed in housing situations where there was toxic stuff around them that they didn't know it. So it could be environmental, but that should not stop you from getting yourself checked out, especially if you got insurance. If you don't have insurance, check anyway, right? Economically, it's a lot better than it was maybe 20 years ago. So you might have to do a copay, but if that copay lets you find out that you have high blood pressure and it saves your life, it's kind of worth it. So I don't know Fatman Scoop's situation. I'm sure if he was touring and he was a hefty guy, I'm sure he had physicals maybe, so I'm not going to try to speculate on that. Maybe it just happened. Maybe they didn't know, because sometimes, the heart is a tricky thing. Sometimes they can see stuff and sometimes they don't. Sometimes there's a little hole they don't find, and people pass away from that because they didn't see it. I'm one of those people who feel like we should all have full body scans like every 4 years, just to make sure that we're all healthy. And if they find something inside of us, we can get to it. It's not going to happen. Like, only people who got money got who do the full body scan all the time. But no, I really do think, like, from a health standpoint, why can't we have like once every 4 years, we can all have a full body scan so you can just take a look. So if we do have something, we can kind of fix it. There's a country artist that I just saw on CBS Saturday morning. I forget her name. I think Morgan something. And she's only 29, but a few years ago she had a mastectomy because they found out she had the gene for breast cancer. It was a rapid gene, and she decided to get a mastectomy in her 20s, right? But she would have never known that if she didn't go to the doctor. And women are really better at going to the doctors than dudes, right? Women always go to the doctor. But as men, we got to go. We got to go. You should even start going. You should always go, but at least in your 30s, you should start going. Because we all think we're healthy. And we all just say, oh, I'll just walk it off, or I just take it. As Chris Rock used to say, put some tussin on it. Put some tussin on it. You feel better in the morning. Sometimes it is just tussing. Sometimes it is just an upset stomach. Sometimes it is just you're just tired. But if it lingers and you don't know what it is, please check it out.